We've been at this for 45 minutes trying to figure out how to start an episode. I think we just do it like this. So I'm Carly,
And I'm Courtney.
and this is the first episode of our podcast. Do you want to talk about what we are going to be discussing?
You wanted to discuss Invincible.
Yes. So Invincible was one of the things that I wanted to discuss first. But I think just like a brief discussion about everything that we're kind of interested in. So you're more into the reading and gaming side of things.
Well, we watch movies together
Yep.
and shows, so we were going to talk about that too.
Um,
You're more into music than I am.
yes, very
I'm
much.
I'm very subjective about music. You're more objective. I don't. When it comes to music, I cannot be objective.
Well, it's not
I
that
don't know how.
I'm not objective in music. It's just
Okay, but there is objectivity to it.
well, yeah, but okay. What the hell were we talking about?
Uh, well, I think I left off saying you are more objective when it comes to music because you know how to listen to music objectively. I don't.
I don't listen to music objectively. I think you're just getting a misunderstanding. I just I've just done more research into music, and so I just have a better understanding of it and an appreciation for what actually goes into it. Like if you've seen like there was one video I saw on YouTube of someone recreating 90210 by Travis. It was actually the most insane thing. I don't even understand how people like make songs. It's like beyond me. But
Neither do I because I could not make a good song to save my life though.
yeah, well, I couldn't either. I just have grown a huge appreciation for it as an art form, and yeah. But as far as things that we are communal on, movies and shows is a big one.
Definitely. Gaming's like we are both gamers, but the issue is that we play vastly different games and the thing is my interest in games is much wider than yours is.
Yes, but my interest in games is much better.
No.
Yes. So since I did want to talk about Invincible because you recently watched it for the first time, seasons 1 through 4. I watched season 4 for the first time, obviously, but I had previously seen the other 3 seasons.
You said there was a You said there was a certain point that you stopped at, though.
Yes, I stopped at episode 5 of season 3 for whatever reason, but then we started watching it anyways. Um, so I guess I kind of want to get your notes, not notes, but your thoughts on it. And so I have notes here to kind
Yeah,
of.
it's best you read your notes to me and then I can comment on it because you're gonna have to ask me about specific stuff. Because if you just ask me right now what I thought about it, I'm gonna blank entirely.
Right. So, season 1, we have, of course, Mark getting his powers, and we had Omni Man trying to teach him in that first episode, kind of. Now, we have more information on why Omni Man made the decisions he did once Mark got his powers, as we saw it in season 4. But he eventually, in the last part of the first episode, he killed all the original Guardians. And that was a part when I first watched it that because like going into the show, I didn't actually know what it was about. And then when I got to that last part, I was like, this is much more brutal than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and that's the first thing you said to me when we started watching it. You warned me that it was like pretty brutal.
For an animated show,
Yeah, it's like I've watched many animated shows before, but none nearly as gory as that. So it was definitely strange to see, but I'm not a stranger to gory stuff because I mean we've seen all three Terrifier movies, so
yes, and they're great.
we're not that put off by gory stuff. I guess I was just surprised because it's animated and not much animation does that.
Yeah. Um, we're obviously introduced to many characters like Debbie, Amber, Eve, William, Rex, Robot, Monster Girl, Titan, Cecil, etc. Um, So I guess before I kind of get into more notes about season 1, what did you think about like the overall story of it? Talking like about Mark getting his powers and the uncovering of kind of what Omni Man was going about. Like, what did you think about that because in comparison to like other superhero media, which you haven't seen very often, stuff like that isn't. It hasn't been done like that really.
Yeah, it's not like I can compare it to much because I never really got into stuff like Marvel or DC, even though like it's very popular. Um, I like that it does something different, to be honest.
Hmm.
And I mean, the goriness of it too is very like, how do I put it? It's like it's shocking when it happens. Like even though you and there's 4 seasons and we watched all 4 seasons, seeing the goriness every single time, it still gets you, I guess.
Yeah, especially in season 4, that really intense scene with Conquest when he's like Mark is choking him to death,
And it's like you're not that, but
and Conquest
sorry,
is ripping out his
yes,
intestines
because you're not expecting, and I mean he doesn't die.
somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but you don't expect certain characters to die because they're like very much main characters, very important to the story. So to see something that brutal happening, it's still shocking every single time. It's like he's not gonna die, is he? He's like the main character. You can't do that.
Right?
And like when I've forgotten his name already. The and apparently I've forgotten the name. The Viltrumite guy. Well,
Like the really strong one,
the really strong one.
Thrag.
Thrag, him. I'm forgetting names already. Um, when Mark was having those like episodes where he was hallucinating people getting killed by Thrag because he kept like from his trauma, his PTSD, that he was going to keep showing up and killing people that he cared about. Every single time, like after the first time it was shocking because you thought it was real, but then you realized it was like these hallucinations.
Right.
But it kept happening, and every single time, even though it's like, well, we know it's just his hallucinations, it can't be real. But each time it's like, but is this time going to be real? And each time it's still so shocking because you never expect to see these, like, not main characters, but very, like, important to the plot, good characters die in such brutal ways so suddenly in front of the main character because he cares about them.
Yeah.
So I like that about the show. It makes you feel something in that aspect. Anyway, I went ahead of myself by talking about season 4.
Well, I started it, but actually, the trauma thing is kind of something I do want to discuss about season 1, because I probably talk about it more when we get to season 4. But I kind of found it odd how they didn't do like that whole trauma thing until then. Like what happened with Thrag was obviously like something terrible, but I find it interesting, or not interesting, but I just think that what happened with his dad in season 1, because it's such a personal thing, would have been infinitely more traumatic to him, especially like when Omni-Man is holding him up as he rams him through this train, and all of these innocent people are being murdered in front of him. Like I feel like that would be so much more traumatic, and it's so weird how they're only tackling that now.
That does make sense, yeah. Um, and I thought it was like I know this guy's been his dad his whole life, but it was almost like the way that he spoke to him even while they were still in the middle of fighting. It was almost too nice after everything that had just happened. Like, what was it Nolan said? He said something about like because he was talking about how they're going to be alive a lot longer than everyone else, like Debbie, all that. He's like, who are you going to have in like, what is it, 500 years?
Yeah.
He was like, I'd still have you. But after everything that just happened, why would you want that?
Well, I think family is complicated, and
They did showcase that complicated relationship too after what happened.
yeah.
He definitely, Mark was not the same. Debbie definitely wasn't.
Well, here I also have So I remember when we were first watching it, you highlighted how you weren't sure if you liked what was kind of going on with Robot and him using the Mahler twins to make himself a body. That he took the DNA from Rex and he had made himself a child body to inhabit.
Yeah, like I liked his personality as Robot. I don't know why, it's just appealed to me. But then it was like I didn't see it coming. Like I just thought he was a robot. I didn't think there was an actual human behind it. I guess, and when it just became more emotional, this character that wasn't emotional was very like calculated and logical.
Mm-hmm.
It just it was like totally different character. And I guess it was just kind of weird because everyone, the characters, when they first found out what he did, they were kind of creeped out by it, especially Rex,
Yeah.
because he was like, "You used my DNA. You became me. You didn't even ask," which was also off putting to me. It felt like the intentions were a little bit weird. And everyone came around to it afterward. And I mean, you get used to it afterward. You kind of forget that ever happened.
Yeah.
But when it first happens, it's like, oh,
Yes, and it's certainly like not asking for his consent to obviously take his blood or whatever the hell. Um, the way that I look at it is, I think that it's not fine, but it's understandable why, because when you look at it from like who Robot was, he wasn't a robot. He was someone who's, I'm pretty sure he was allergic to air, and so he lived his life in a tube. So he never.
was that ever explained in the show that he was allergic to air?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was because like the air was toxic to him or something.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, and so
I must not remember that.
yeah, so he grew up and lived his life in this device. So he never like learned anything about really human nature, like what it means to be a
Oh,
person, consent, all those sorts of things. Even though he's entirely logical, he probably just slipped his mind because his emotional side is just not there.
okay. That actually makes more sense now that you explain it that way because either I missed that part or it was not explained well enough to me for me to gather all that.
I think it was just like something that you're meant to realize on your own.
Yeah, like I think it's good that shows do that. They shouldn't explain everything to you.
Yeah,
But I don't know, I feel like a bit more context beyond what I feel I was given would have helped me come to that conclusion.
sure. Um, we had so Mark and Amber's relationship had started, and um, they were struggling with. Actually, Amber is someone that not a lot of people really like because of. I don't know if you remember that scene when Mark finally tells her that he's invincible, and she says that she already knew, but was still giving him shit for not being around or.
Yeah, I think I felt that same way. Like, I don't feel strongly like, oh, I hate her, but in that moment, when she acted like that, it's like, okay, you've known for a long time, and he's finally telling you now. And it's like, it's obvious why he's hiding this from you. Should he have told you sooner? Maybe. I guess for that reason.
Well, the concept of like secret identities is, and like the importance of it is kind of, I guess it really depends on, because like the complication that comes with revealing your secret identity is always kind
Yeah.
of felt there.
You would have to, like, fully trust someone with that information before you even told them.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, if you're choosing to be in a relationship with someone, you have to know that, like, you are going to have to eventually trust them with that information. And the thing is, you can only go so far with excuses, like in Mark's position. And she was getting fed up with it.
Yeah,
I mean, should maybe she should have said something a lot sooner
maybe.
if she had found that out. And then instead of just getting mad at him when he finally decided to reveal it, because it is understandable that he did take that long.
But I,
And
but I think that like her not saying something is like not saying that she already knew is kind of. It could be. I think that the way that she handled it was bad, but like I can almost compare it to. I know you didn't watch it, but Smallville character in there, Chloe. She found out Clark's secret before he had told her, but she didn't say anything because she wanted him to tell her on his terms when he was ready. And so, but when he eventually told her, it wasn't the way Amber had dealt with it. She
yeah,
definitely was like, "Yeah, I already know, and it's
yeah,
okay."
if that was the situation, even if she did want him to tell her on his own terms, which it doesn't seem like that was the case by the way that she reacted. But if that was the case, she did react very badly because it was on his own terms finally, and you just took it very poorly. And it's like, this is the reason this whole time that he has been so absent. And it's a very understandable excuse because this guy is noble enough to sacrifice his time, his life, to save other people's lives that he doesn't even know. Like the person that you are in a relationship with is a hero, and you're not being understanding in any way whatsoever. You're just angry.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
That's like one of the few things that I didn't like was just kind of how she handled that. But I did like the complications that they had explored with him being a hero, because like they would in season two eventually would break up because of that, because they just lived two very different lives, and Amber just couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
And
that made sense.
I quite like that. Well, we're talking about Amber for a little bit, but we can move on from that. But yeah, we got introduced to some other things like the Flaxens, which would be recurring for most of it of the show. Well, not most of the show, but at periods throughout it. We also had the episode where Mark went to Mars with the astronaut team, and then the Sequids took over that, which we didn't see like the very climax of that until season four. Which I find it interesting how the show kind of does it when it comes to its storytelling, because they'll set something up in one season, but they won't finish it until a later season. Where I'm really not used to, like, especially when it's like bigger storylines. Like take season four for example, with Monster Girl and Robot, or Rex now as he's called. Um, they're stranded on the Flaxen planet, and we saw nothing of that in season four, and
Yeah,
that seems pretty big, and we won't see that until season five. Or
yeah,
like the decision that Cecil made at the end of season three to keep Conquest alive. Mark never mentioned that. Like Conquest ended up like ripping out his intestines, and Mark just never mentioned it yet to Cecil when he got back on Earth. Um, so that's definitely going to be talked about in season five. So that too, it's just interesting how they kind of do that. And same thing in season two, right? They're setting up Angstrom Levy, and then his kind of whole thing doesn't finish till season three.
mm.
So I find that kind of interesting. Um,
Plus that whole thing with where Mark learns through Angstrom Levy actually that sometimes, even though he had like this rule for himself to not kill people, he finally agrees because if he had killed Angstrom Levy, he wouldn't have done all the harm that he had since he'd left him alive. So that's why he does, well, think he killed Conquest. Because Conquest came after that, didn't he? I'm trying to think. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, so
He thinks he killed Conquest.
Angstrom. So Mark thought that he killed Angstrom at the end of season two, but then he gets teleported off to another planet, and then they somehow fix him when his brains were actually exploded everywhere. Um, and then Angstrom didn't come back till like one of the very last episodes of season three.
Oh wait,
That's when
yeah,
he brought
he
all of the marks
see.
with him, and then they just went on a rampage throughout Earth.
Yeah, see, I'm just forgetting details now, so it's good you're bringing them up.
Yep.
But yeah, he was feeling bad about that for a while that he killed Angstrom. Um, and weren't people like kind of giving him shit for that?
Um, for that, I don't think so. I think that no, because that was like the end of season two, and then we picked up on season three right when um like Mark was like training with Cecil. I don't think it was ever really mentioned, other than like Cecil being worried about that. Um, but no, it was he got the real backlash was when he killed the human that was taken
Yeah,
over by the Seclid.
I remember that.
Yeah. Um, so kind of about him like getting rid of his no kill rule. Do you like that?
See, I it is a tough debate, but I think it was necessary in certain contexts because in other media that I have like watched or played, okay, in other media that I watched or played, um, I was thinking of one specifically. There are these like groups of people that just they're looking to do harm, like for their own gain, and there's a group of them. That's what I'm saying. So if even one part of that group is left alive, they go on to keep that group going and expand and harm more people. So every single one of them had to be killed, or else that would keep happening. So, in an instance like that, like in this show, where it was shown with Angstrom, in situations like that, if Angstrom had been killed, he wouldn't have done all the damage that he did if Mark had actually killed him.
Right.
And those innocent people wouldn't have died. You know, it's one life that goes on to do a lot of harm over protecting all those innocent lives that would have been harmed. If you
Right.
get what I mean.
Well, I have a different view on the no kill rule, and I think that kind of one of the best examples to bring up when it comes to a no kill rule is the goat Batman, right? Because he has a no kill rule, and not necessarily because he would disagree with that point, where if he had just killed the Joker, it would stop a lot of harm. Why he doesn't kill people is because, sure, it starts with the Joker, but it's just like what everybody says when you do something once, it gets easier and easier to do. And when, especially when you have someone as powerful as Mark, if he now just makes, if the decision to kill someone that's harming someone becomes easier and easier, then who knows how far it could go. It could go from Angstrom Levy to just some bank robbers. And then it doesn't matter. They're both causing harm, so they both deserve to die. And so that's why Batman does not kill people.
I get it from that angle too. And it's also and I also get the angle too that like people can change as well. But it's also like you don't know for sure whether that's going to happen. Like does someone deserve to die for doing like a bunch of bad shit? I don't know. That's a moral question I don't know how to answer. But
Well, that's different than like someone's no kill rule because like never mind. I'm just gonna get into something that I did not want to get into. Um, okay, let's just get off of this. So it's obviously been like maybe about a month and a half since we started watching season one. Based on everything that I'm saying and everything that you remember, because like I don't have notes on everything. Like, did you want to do ratings for things?
we can. Sometimes I'm not like the greatest at reading stuff, especially if I'm not fully like it's not fresh in my head. But I did think it was really good.
Okay.
Did and like those ratings that you were telling me about, like the first season had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah, like all the seasons have like 100% Rotten
except for
Tomatoes.
like one.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty deserved.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's a great show. Um, a season one of Invincible is like held to a really high standard. Like, it's seen as like one of the best seasons of like any superhero television show ever. Like, that's kind of how that season is held. I won't make you give a rating on it because it's just been a little while and you probably weren't thinking about like rating it or kind of talking about it necessarily at that time.
I want to say like what would it be like out of 10, 5?
Um, I mean, we can do out of 10. That's fine. I think I only have like two complaints for the season.
My guess is I'd probably give it from a 9 to a 10, that range.
Yeah, like my only issues is the slight amber thing there. And
But then again, I don't know whether I can rate specifically on was it an appropriate reaction, because that might have been in character for her. Even if I don't agree with the reaction, it
it
might have
could
been
have.
a fine for her.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And not necessarily like, I don't want to like hold it back too much because it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but the animation style that it has, like the character designs, like I don't know much about
Yeah.
animation. It just looks like every other animated piece of,
Yeah, see, I'm not, and I wasn't paying attention much to the actual animated style. And if it changes gradually too, I'm not going to notice it gradually. You'd have to show me like a side by side of the animation style in season 4 compared to season 1 for me to actually notice that difference, I think.
well,
Because,
the level of anime, like how good it's animated has changed. Like as far as I remember, season one
yeah,
is animated decently well, but like when you get to season three, like with the conquest fight, you noticeably saw how the
yeah.
animation got better there. But
I
in
might
season
have,
one, you never noticed that because I think the season one animation was consistently good. I'm just talking about how the characters are designed.
yeah, you were watching a video from Moist Critical. He goes by a couple names.
Yeah,
um, from him, he was talking about the animation. Like I said, I personally didn't notice it, but if I went back and watched that again and specifically looked for that, I probably would notice it. But that was definitely, as he said, to save on time because they have such a short window to do. Like, and animation is very complicated. I know that much. I've never done it. But, animators, they just be stressing out over every single frame. I mean,
yeah, and they're put on such a short deadline. Like we're getting because like season one apparently took a few years to make, but now they're on a deadline where a new season of Invincible is coming out every year. So the animation I really don't feel is going to get much better than what it's at, which kind of
yeah.
sucks in season four. Like in season three, like I said, there was a noticeable difference between every other scene and the conquest fight. like probably a couple other moments, but like in season one, I never like noticed a difference, like a huge jump up, because
Yeah.
I think it was pretty consistent all around. I just like I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about animation or drawing or any sort of that thing, but like just how the characters are designed, how the way they look, the way their mouths move, it looks like every other animation. Like I don't know, like fucking Death Note and shit. I don't know. It just all looks the same to me, except for when it's very different. Like Batman the Animated Series is one of them, or Across the Spider Verse and Into the Spider Verse. Very unique there, very noticeable. But I don't know.
Yeah, that also reminded me of that one part in that one episode where, what was it, Mark went to this convention or something, and they were very self-aware when joking about it. They were talking about like how
Yeah,
animators kind of cut corners with animation, so they cut out the mouth so they don't have to animate the mouth moving.
and then when they
And
were talking about how
the
they cut to the sky so that they don't have to like animate the mouse, it's just like an overlook, and they like do that so they can
yeah,
save
or like
money. So they,
still like there's, well, how is it they put it? They have it on like a crowd, but no one's actually moving and you don't notice it or something. But
yeah,
it's like panning or it's moving or something.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of like that. That was funny.
yeah, that was in season two, which I guess we can talk. We've kind of been talking about the whole thing, um, in general, but we could talk about season two. So, kind of the introduction of it was I didn't even remember when we started watching it because I was just as confused with what was going on. But then it eventually clicked. But yeah, this is when we get the introduction of the multiverse, and we start off in another universe where Mark teams up with his dad, and then they kind of conquer the planet, and we're following Angstrom as he's in this universe, and then he eventually goes to our universe. And his origin story was kind of cool. He obviously hired the Marlowe twins. He broke them out of prison so that they could help him with his big ass device, where he had all of the other angstroms kind of get into these seats so that he could, I think, merge all of their intelligence or whatever, and so like he could figure out what galaxy, what universes had what that would be good for resources. I don't know. I forget like why,
Yeah, I forgot those details too.
but yeah, Mark interrupted this, and then all of the memories of the other angstroms got into his, and then that's where he got the idea that Invincible was bad because in every one of these other universes
He
that all
is.
of these angstroms, but remember, he was evil. And so I thought that that was really cool how they did that. Um, yeah, actually, I kind of want to talk about Cecil for a moment. What do you think of Cecil? I think he's a very controversial character. Like, what do you think about? I think in season three is what I can mention mostly the decisions that he's made. Like when he took the recording right of that ocean thing that Mark fought and like the sound that it made. He like recorded that and then like put like something in him as a defense. Like, what do you think about the decisions he's made?
Well, God.
Like, do you think they're justified or not?
Well, considering how powerful Mark is, he's the most powerful superhuman on the planet after Nolan left, because he's half Viltrumite. Even though, you know, Mark didn't end up like Nolan when he did kill all those people, since Nolan does eventually change. Um, I think to have that precaution isn't entirely a bad thing because, and ultimately, it came into some use because Cecil used it because he was afraid of Mark. Because Mark was angry about something that Cecil did. What was it again?
He was angry that he had recruited
Oh, that guy.
that
What was his
the
name?
Batman guy, the
Batman guy?
yeah that guy and Dia Sinclair, him
Yeah.
and yeah he was like making the robots because like
he targeted why do I forget his name?
Rick.
Rick.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I guess like the actions that Cecil made, Mark kind of felt a certain way about it. And then that's when they had the falling out at the beginning of season one. And that kind of caused the rift, not season one, season three. That caused the rift between him and Cecil and the Guardians.
And I mean Cecil's whole decision on that too. Uh like DA Sinclair, I mean. See, trying to determine whether he made the right or wrong decision is very hard because on a lot of things he does. And you eventually get to understand why he makes like those difficult decisions.
Yeah, because we
Like
had
they
his backstory in season three.
yeah,
Yeah,
cuz they might seem wrong, but he has good intentions for doing it. So it's like it's nuanced.
yeah,
It's both bad and good, really.
right. I think that Cecil's one of my favorite characters. I think that a very large majority of the decisions that he's made is correct and he is justified in. I think that
I would probably say that too. Are they hard decisions to make and like
that's what that scene in season four was.
yeah,
Remember when like Mark had to make the decision to kill that human that was taken over by the Sequids, and Cecil was like, "This is why he's in the position he is," and
so he's the
he
one to
makes the
take on
decision
those
that
decisions.
everybody dislikes, but someone has to make them. And like he says that he gave up on sleeping a long time ago, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Like
think
he
that's
wants
great.
to be the one to make those decisions so other people don't have to.
Exactly, and I think that's great. I think that the DA Sinclair thing, I think all he had to do was kind of take the knowledge of Sinclair and kind of how he did that, and then just do that himself. Like I don't think he had to recruit him. Like Cecil should have some of the brightest minds on Earth. I mean, he works for the GDA and he like operates in the Pentagon and shit. You'd think that he would have incredibly smart people that could just take what Dean Sinclair was doing and do it, and then throw Sinclair in prison. So
Maybe. But Day Sinclair does change to become a better person, though, after that.
yeah,
But the thing is, isn't he still doing this on humans, or did that change?
no, they changed it to robots. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Because it still seemed like it was humans.
no, was it? No, I think they started using dead corpses, like already dead people.
Oh, okay.
I
Slightly
think.
less wrong.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah,
Did
and
I miss
then
that? Is my question, or
I don't know. I think I'm vaguely remembering it. And then the conquest decision to keep him alive. I think that was a bad decision.
yeah, because
I
he
was
was
shocked
like,
how fast he got out of that. I was like, he was surrounded in like a shit ton of I thought it would take him a bit longer to get out, but it was instantly.
yeah, and I think Cecil thought that too. He was like, oh, he's not gonna get out. He's surrounded by explosives, so if he
Yeah,
even moves like a muscle, he's gone. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
Yeah, that definitely was a bad decision because ultimately, I think he underestimated how invincible a Viltrumite stronger a full Viltrumite would be.
yeah. I find it interesting how in season one, Mark was like one of the weakest Viltrumites ever.
Yeah, well, he's only
Like
half, so
I don't think that has anything to do with it though. Like I think that's fine. In fact, there's a really weird theory online. It's called like adrenaline theory. Apparently, Viltrumites don't have adrenaline, but since Mark is half human, he does have adrenaline.
is that explained in the show?
No, no, no. I just like I was hearing about this. I don't know, but I don't
I
know.
was gonna say, did I miss this too?
I don't think he's weaker because he's half, but um, I do just find it interesting how he was so weak in season one, but purely for the fact that he's a Viltrumite, he is still the strongest person on Earth.
Yeah,
It just shows like such a huge gap between everyone else and the Viltrumites.
But also, when you take into account of Oliver, he's also half Viltrumite, but he's also half what's the name of that? Those aliens? Those bug ones? But he's half one of them, so they are weaker.
The Thraxons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they do have shorter lifespans. So if you take into account of that, it does explain in the show that he ages faster because he's half Thraxon. So by that logic, would he also not have about half the like weakness, I guess? Like this, if you get what I'm saying, of a Thraxon, like because they're not going to be as strong as a Viltrumite.
Well,
So
I don't really know because like how much stronger is a regular human to a Thraxon? Like what's the kind of difference that like the Thraxons could be stronger than a regular human? Because if that's the
yeah,
case,
it's
then it
not.
wouldn't work.
That's not really explained, I
I think if you
suppose.
just have Viltrumite DNA, then you're just I guess it just kind of works like when he was training with Cecil, it just kind of works like that. Where if he's just working out, he will just become stronger. I I don't necessarily think, but also they get stronger with age. I remember that was
Oh,
explained.
yeah, that's true. And the thing is, because of Nolan, even though he trying to put this in a way that makes sense and I'm saying actual English words, he bred with a human, Debbie, but it was unauthorized. I was trying to say it in less words, but I couldn't figure out how to say it. But through that, the Viltrumites who are trying to preserve their race, even though they were going to execute Nolan, through him, they found out that humans were actually an acceptable race for them to breed with to continue their Viltrumite race.
I think what you just said is an inconsistency in the show because I do remember that being said that it was unauthorized for Nolan to mate with a human, but then in season 4, apparently that was his whole mission was to figure that out.
Yeah, I think that threw me off a little bit too, but I didn't question it much further. But now that you're saying it, yeah.
Because I definitely do remember that.
Do you
Um,
even know what it lost that 2% on the season for? Because you said all the rest of them were 100.
I have no
But
idea.
was it season 4 that was 98?
No, no, because we started watching it before then, and that's when
So
I think it
season
was
3
season.
was 98.
I think it was season 1. Honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea. But yeah. Anyway, the rest of season 2, obviously Mark, Amber, they break up. Donald has that whole side thing where he uncovers that he's a robot and has died a shit ton of times. We get introduced to Alan in the first season, but we get more of him.
I do like Alan as a character.
Yeah. Who's your favorite character?
That's what I've questioned myself, but I don't know if I've determined who I think is my favorite character. It's hard for me to say. I do like Alan. Like I said, he's definitely interesting. He's Now I'm forgetting details, but I definitely did have reasons for liking him. And when he became like as strong as a Viltrumite too, I was like, even better. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think my favorite character might be Debbie.
I do love Debbie. I think I just like a lot of characters, but I don't feel like any particular way about like one like, oh, this is my favorite. Um or like I particularly hate this one. I
Right.
never really determined that in my head, which sometimes I do depending on the media, but I never found myself doing that with Invincible. But I do know like I do know that I do like Debbie because in the fourth season when um Mark is having those hallucinations, and he hallucinated Thrag showing up behind her and killing her. Because I was at the point there where it was like I was questioning whether it, when is it going to be real? Like, is this time real?
Hmm.
So I was actually genuinely sad because I was like, oh god, what if she's actually dead? And to see her killed in such a brutal way, I was like, that's just cruel.
Yeah.
But luckily, she's okay. Debbie remains alive.
Yeah, I think that she's just an incredible mom. I mean, like one of the best scenes is literally in episode 1 of season 1 when Mark, he's trying to get a hold of his powers, and he like crash lands into their backyard, and then Debbie gets upset, like she has work in the morning, and then she
Not
tells him,
even, are you okay? I have work in the morning. Shut up.
yeah, something like that, and then like, well, I think she's like she asks if he's okay. I don't know, I forget, but and then she's like, go inside, I gotta get up in the morning, and he's like, make me, and then she's like, does that make you feel good? Is that what you need? Like,
God, it feels so long since I've watched this. I know what you're talking about, but it's such a vague memory
to
at this
know that I
point.
can't physically make you do something, like, does that make you feel good? And like he shuts down immediately.
Yeah, like he listens to her even though objectively speaking, he could take her, but he's not going to.
There are some universes like when all the Invincibles were standing over somewhere, like they all huddled in season 3 at the end. Some of them were like they wanted to kill her again. Like many of them killed their mom. And then there was like the one guy who was like, oh, I kind of miss mom. Yeah. And then the other guy was like, I miss William. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, I think Debbie's great. Um,
I kind of like Nolan too. Like at first, obviously he's, a bad character once you come to learn he was like intentionally killed the Guardians. That's what they're called, right? Just make sure I'm getting my
yep.
details right.
Yep.
Because at first, even I questioned it, and they were so sure it could not have been him. And I mean, it's first episode at that point, wasn't it? I'm thinking.
When he killed them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you didn't know for sure. Well, you saw him kill them, but everyone was doubting that it was actually him or he must be under some sort of mind control. It genuinely made you wonder, even though you didn't know this character, if he was actually capable of doing that. And even I was questioning it. I was like, is it not actually him? And I was very curious to know what happened. But then once we found out, no, he did that of his own free will.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so he's not the good character everyone thought he was. And then obviously perception of him changes, like Debbie's perception, Mark's perception, the entire world's perception on Earth because of what he did. And he becomes such a hateable character. But then it's like he redeems himself. And it's almost like he was doubting it the whole time, but he did it out of a sense of like duty and loyalty to the Viltrumites.
It's actually interesting that you say that because Robert Kirkman, the creator of the show, he said that he intentionally wrote Omni Man, like when he was telling Mark, like everything that you were saying, when he was like telling him that they're going to live so much longer, and why are you fighting for this? He wrote that intentionally to be like Omni Man wasn't just trying to convince Mark, he was trying
Trying
to
to convince
convince himself
himself.
of it because he had already changed by that point.
Yeah. And definitely through Alan, who came to save him. I'm forgetting why he did that now.
It was because it was once like Alan figured out that um, he had left Earth, which was unusual for a Viltrumite. He had then, because I think that they had talked. No, because that when Mark went to Thraxa, and found his dad there, that's when his dad had told him to, read his books because they were all the weaknesses that a Viltrumite has.
Oh
And then
yeah, and
he
he
relayed that information to Alan. So then Alan thought that Nolan would be a traitor to them and would benefit the coalition. And that's what made Alan seek out Omni Man in the Viltrumite prison. And then, yeah,
yeah, I forgot about that too, the whole Thraxan thing in the middle. But yeah, when Mark went to Thraxa, which he went there not knowing his father was there, but it was very clear his father had changed at that point.
yeah,
Um, but then he just continues to change even further, especially after Alan gets involved and tries to save him. And it's very clear, like, Nolan feels guilty about what he did because he thinks he deserves to die. And he knows he can't go back to Earth. And he's trying to make up for everything that he did. And it's like, it's. Maybe I'm not supposed to feel that way, but it's almost like I have too much empathy for characters like it, even though he did a really shitty thing. And I'm not the one who personally experienced anything, obviously, it's just a show. But realistically, I get why he could never fully be forgiven for what he did. But it's like, as just a viewer of a fictional show, I feel bad for him because it's like, watching this, he feels bad for what he did and he just wants to make things right. He wants to make up for it, even though he never realistically probably can.
exactly. And it's kind of like the thing I was saying with Robot, where he never like grew to understand like what it means to be human because like he never grew up a normal person. It's the same thing with Nolan, where this life is all he knew on Viltrumite. Just like kids there were taught to kill and be rulers, and so he was incapable of seeing the wrong in his actions until he had obviously gone to Earth, and then that is when he changed, and ultimately he did still do the things that he did, um, because like felt it was right. Um, but yeah, no, it certainly is a great thing about his character, and it's absolutely justified that people in his life, like Debbie, or who's the guy that makes the suits? I forget his name.
So do I, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's
Even
like,
he was scared because when Nolan came back, just like for a casual conversation with him after what he did, after Nolan left, it was like he let out a breath that he was just holding because he was so stressed, but he was like acting so casual because he was scared of him.
yeah, but he still like stuck up to him a bit when he was like, you can make me a new suit, and he was like,
Yeah.
I dress heroes, Nolan.
Yeah.
That was great. And then like same thing with Debbie, where like that was a great scene where even though like she knew she could not hurt him, she was still punching him and like breaking her wrists because of how upset she was.
Yeah.
That was great.
We obviously know in that moment, like, Nolan had no intention to hurt her. I don't know if she understood that or knew that in that moment, but
I think she knew.
maybe. And maybe that's why she felt it was not okay. How do I put it? Like,
Justified.
justified for her to do that because she knew he wasn't going to retaliate.
Yeah. So until like I think I eventually like rewatch the show, maybe in anticipation for season 5, I probably won't give any sort of rating for the seasons. Um, but I do just want to rant about one thing. Um, I think the show it just kind of doesn't suck, but it just gets so much more annoying once Oliver happens. I don't know if you feel the same. I fucking hate Oliver. Like every single time that like, in the conquest fight in season 3 when he like conquest had him like over his head and was like ripping him apart, I was like, please kill
Oh my
him,
god.
kill the kid. Like, and the same thing with like Thrag, or like the kid is just so stupid. Like Mark was like, do not take on Thrag alone, and that's the one thing he fucking did, and he gets fucked up.
See, I think it's easy to feel that way as someone who's not a huge fan of kids.
And he killed the Maulers. Like,
Yeah,
fuck him.
yeah. I was very concerned when that happened. I was like, he is going to turn to be a very violent kid, it seems. But that gets corrected pretty quickly and it's not so much of an issue. But like when that happened, I was like, holy shit. Like they're going to have like a Nolan 2.0 on their hands if this kid keeps doing that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But I guess from the perspective of, he is just a kid. He's growing very quickly because he's half Thraxan, but he is still a kid, and I don't know the timeline of like him growing up, like from when he comes to Earth to when, well, how old he is by the end of season 4.
It would have been a long time. Like, so when there's like the 3 episode span in season 4 when they leave Earth to when they return, that's like 9 months. Just those 3 episodes. And I don't know the timeline between season 2 and 3 and then 3 and 4, but yeah, it's like it was quite a long time.
But there's also the fact that because he's half Thraxan, he does age quicker. So even if it was 9 months in human time, um, in Thraxan time, it's a lot different. Not necessarily like in terms of, I don't know, time dilations. Not that kind of difference, but difference in the lifespan.
Yeah. Um, like, what do you think about Mark and Eve?
I think it was obvious from the beginning that they were going to get together, and it made more sense than him and Amber too, because they're both superhuman. So it's more suited to their lifestyle, and more than it was when Mark and Amber were together. And it made sense for their breakup, where you said they broke up, where they were just too different because she wasn't superhuman, he was.
Yep.
But they understand it better because they both are. It makes more sense.
Um, I think my favorite scene of them is in season 4 when the scene is actually, so they do just finish having sex, but she says that she stopped taking care of herself, and then Mark was like, the only thing that I noticed was how much I missed you, which is absolutely the best thing to say in that situation.
Fair enough. It's probably terrible of me to admit, but when I first saw her, like I did notice, but I think that was kind of the point because her like character, like obviously she was skinny before, but then you see her and she's a bit larger. You're gonna notice that.
Yeah. um I was just about to mention something. Fuck, I
But
forget.
you were mentioning why they were talking about that.
Oh, right. No, 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 I just, okay. No, I just like that scene of what he said there.
Yeah.
And another thing that I liked about when they returned was that, you know, Eve had finally told them about the baby and that she had to get an abortion, and um how hard that was for her. And I just love how he was like, I'm so sorry for not being there for you. And not like,
That's a good partner moment.
exactly, it shows how healthy they are, because Mark, if it was a toxic relationship, Mark could have just as easily have been like, that was hard for you. Like, he had his intestines ripped out and he was on life support for months.
Oh that's tough. But did you know I got my intestines ripped out?
Exactly.
That's a lot worse.
But he was there for
Sorry about what
her.
you went through
Exactly, but he was there for her regardless.
though.
And I just think that was great.
Yeah, like I said, great partner moment.
Um, I mean, I don't know about what else to talk about here.
Did we hit pretty much all your points?
No,
No.
probably not. But
Well, the point of the notes is to have something to talk about.
oh, what do you think about Zoe
Zoe who? Oh wait, she's the
Tech Jacket?
He's probably right cuz
I thought it was interesting that they chose to recruit a human because when
yeah,
they first talked about it, and like she has like this very high tech suit. I was like, okay, maybe her suit is going to have her
and
like
it
keep up,
feels
but
yeah.
she's just a human going as eventual. I don't know. I just thought that that was
Yeah, and
interesting.
it was like they introduced her suddenly sort of, and now she's got no purpose other than to shoot those projectile syringes, whatever it was she was shooting at the Viltrumites.
Yeah,
That was the only crucial role I felt that she really played.
but that could have been tossed aside to
And
anyone.
that, yeah, and
Yeah.
that could have been anyone.
Um. Yeah. Regardless of that, um, she's one of my favorite characters.
She is.
I just love her personality. I don't know what it is about her, but um, there was that scene when like her and Alan are stuck on the ship, which I thought was hilarious and great that they just played video games the whole time.
Yeah.
But when they were leaving and they saw their chance to get to the a coalition and be safe, there was that moment when the Viltrumites were pursuing them, and Alan had started flying so much faster than her and leaving her behind. I was like super stressed in that moment that she was about to die. But
Well,
then,
then that means you definitely care about her as a character.
yeah, so I don't know what it is about her, but I really like her character, and I'm very curious as to like more about her. Why does she have a space station? Why is her dad up there? Like, what is like going on
Yeah,
there?
that felt a little bit out of place, I guess. It
It
was
only
just
feels
very
out of
like, who are
place.
these people?
It only feels out of place now until we get like more of a backstory to them.
Yeah, that she might get more of that in future seasons, so it might feel less, you know, um, out of the blue. She might feel less like a disposable character, like she doesn't have a purpose.
Yeah,
I mean, I was just randomly reminded me because there was a book series I read recently. It's a trilogy. In At the end of the second book, it does something that isn't explained until the third book, and when it ends off, you're like, that was kind of stupid. Like, why did that happen? Why did they do that? It's not explained. But then it makes sense once it gets to the third book. Mind you, I don't think that trilogy is groundbreaking or great by any means. Was it okay? Yeah. I'm getting into something I shouldn't right now. I'm just making a point of that. So maybe it's one of those situations. Like it's not going to make sense now, but it will in the future.
maybe. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, that's just something that the show does, where they just introduce things in one season, but they don't actually explore more of it until later. Sometimes much later. Like the Seclets
Yeah.
didn't show up in showed up in season one, and we didn't get that finished until like episode one of season four.
Yeah, and that's a consistent thing with this show too, is that they set something up and then it doesn't get finished, like you just said. So thinking about that, even though Zoe seems a bit pointless now, she might be less pointless in the future.
Yeah,
So
I think that's about it. Did you want to like rate the show so far, the entirety?
well, like I said earlier, I'd say a 9 to a 10. I'd agree with the ratings on that
I'd give it a 9.
pretty well.
Yeah, I think that it's really good.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, my biggest gripe with the show is Oliver. Fucking kill the kid. Like murder
Listen,
him. I want to see him die
I
badly.
think what I was going to say earlier about that is that, like, it's understandable in the sense that he's a kid, he's going to do stupid shit. But I think also, as from the perspective of someone that is not a fan of kids, because I know kids do stupid shit and I don't have time for it. Bit of a hot take. That's also annoying.
Right.
So it's like I'm on both sides because it's like I'm trying to be understanding because he is just a kid. You know he's going to do stupid shit. So you got to be understanding of that. But it's also I'm annoyed that he's doing stupid shit.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I guess it kind of works for his character.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to just make him a perfectly level-headed adult level of intelligence when he's just a kid.
Yeah. But that's it.